Hey everybody, welcome to the third and final video for Terrain Week. We've been covering various different terrain this week on the channel, and I will have a playlist to all of the videos below. But today we're going to talk about battle systems, specifically two of their sets for their fantasy range. We have the Fantasy Village and the Village Ruins, which you can actually build separately or together, which I'll explain in a little bit. I will have links to where you can find this. You can purchase this directly from the Battle Systems website. As far as I know, that's the only spot that you can get it currently. But they've run several Kickstarters and they have several different sort of themes and settings for all of their terrain. I believe their fantasy stuff is their newest. So let's jump into and take a look at this and a little bit about how to build it and so on. But I will say right now that I will have also some links to some of the videos on the Battle Systems website itself, and they do some great videos in terms of like how you can build this stuff, the different ways that you can build it, and all kinds of other things, which I'll mention through kind of the walkthrough here. But let's jump in and take a look at the Battle Systems. Okay, so here you can see everything's set up from two sets. There's basically two box sets worth of stuff. First is the Fantasy Village set. You can see it's 420 pieces. That's going to make up all of these larger buildings plus a little bit more, which I'll show you. And then there's also here the Village Ruins set, which is actually perfectly compatible if you want to have a village ruined. So if you want, this is what I did. I just went ahead and built the three ruined houses there from the villages, have those separate, and then I built these here as well. Now the other thing that it gives you, and I'll get into some of the details here, but I just went ahead and used this box here to kind of keep some of this other stuff, which it gives you a whole bunch of like extra scatter and little walkways and everything like that. So we'll just take a peek at there. So you have also get all of this stuff. And so first thing first is all of this is basically buildable as you want in a certain degree. I think after a while you could get very creative with this. For example here, so this roof comes off like so, and then you can see here everything is held together pretty easily. There's no glue on this particular piece, but you have these little clips here. And just show you an example. So I can just pop this roof very easily right off, and you can see there is a little slit on that one, and then there's a likely slit on that one, and just pop right back in there. And so you can take this apart and store it pretty easily. And I have not gotten around to actually figuring out a storage solution. I've got a spot in my closet where all this stuff goes very easily actually, and it all kind of, you can kind of Tetris it together and it packs nicely away. And of course I have all my scatter in here. And I did go ahead and glue some of the pieces here on that ruin set, which I'll get to in a minute. But if you want, you can pop stuff up here. Now the roof pieces like this, these bent pieces, you're gonna have a little bit of a tricky time kind of storing that, I think, because you want to kind of maintain the integrity and the sort of the binding, if you will, of these cardboard pieces. So storing the roofs might be a little bit different, but there's a solution to this, because on the website for battlesystems.co.uk, he has a video where he has stored, I believe, this fantasy set, not the ruins, but just this set here. So he has a storage solution, which looks like it's a piece of cake. And as well, like I said in the kind of the intro, there are several videos about how to build all of this stuff. And even there's one most important video, and I'll put that specific link in the description of this video. It's about all the little techniques of how to like punch out the roofs and bend them and all the different things like that, and how kind of the principles behind all of the building of the structures here. Because you can see here, let me take this big roof off. So you've got like the chimney there. So once you know how to build a chimney, then you're good to go. And once you know how to build these little out things, and I did actually put glue on this and this, because these aren't going anywhere. These are just going to be there. So these are glued in. But most of this is not glued at all. And it's just a little splish splash, a little dollop of glue in a couple of spots just to kind of keep it firm. So before we get into too much more of the build details, I just want to say kind of up front that this is friggin' awesome. This is some of the best terrain I've ever seen. In terms of the price and what you get, because obviously you don't have to paint any of this. It has the removable roofs and several different other compartments and components, but there is a level of detail to this which I'm going to get into that is I've never seen really in any other kind of terrain set. So let's kind of jump into the details here, and I'll kind of show you what gets me a little bit excited about this. So let's start with this house. Okay, well obviously the roof comes off, that's great. So we can kind of turn the corner here. And so this is, the roof coming off and all that stuff is really for a role-playing game type of aspect. Now this terrain interests me mostly for miniature wargaming style stuff. So the roof coming off is cool. A lot of times you don't really load units into a building, so that's neat. But if you want to start getting into some really interesting detail, you see how this has a bookcase in there, and it's got this kind of outer little sort of cellar door kind of storage thing. Well, this you can actually pop off, and you can have storage in there, so you could put little treasures and goodies and things like that in there, and it makes a nice kind of objective marker. Now this bookcase is not glued in here or anything. This actually will pop out of here like so, because you can see there's like a little I don't know what that is, a little tongue, and then it will slide into some of the bottom there. You can see that little slit there. So this, you just pop that in there and then drop it down, and then this isn't going anywhere. And there's a ton of furniture like that. There's little chairs and beds and all kinds of things, little chests, not unlike this one, that have opening lids and stuff like that. And so you can pop all that kind of stuff into these little houses and things. So that level of detail, not just to have a house and have it, awesomely illustrated. You don't have to paint it, and it looks great on the table, but it has this little extra sort of role-playing game element to it that's really neat. Which brings us to this, and as silly as it sounds, he gives you a ton of scatter terrain in this, and it's really cool stuff. First of all, you got this cool lake or swamp, depending on how you want to lay it out, and you've got a bunch of other little pieces. But like I said in here, for example, here is a bed, and you can see the little tongue there, so you can stick that into the side of the building, and then you've got a bed. And he's even got little pillows and things like that. Let me see if I can find one. So here's an example. So you've got kind of a larger bed in this case, and a couple like little pillows that you can throw on there like that. That's just ridiculous. Who needs that level of detail? But then, speaking of bookcases, you've got little books. He's got open books, closed books. These are actually like a little bit bent. You just can give them a little bend. You can kind of see them sitting there. So you can throw those. I'll just grab this bookcase here. You can kind of throw those there, like on the book shelf, like so. You see that? And then you can have them kind of spilled out like that. Maybe there's been some roughhousing in there, and the books have gone everywhere. He's got other little tables here. And then these pieces actually did glue, on there. So I've got a little table, and this has some, maybe some fresh stew or some soup in there. This one doesn't have anything on it. And you can see these little lips, those little tongues there, that will slide into, again, the house, and that will hold it steady. So if you can pick up and move the house around, it's not gonna go anywhere. And there's a ton of other scatter terrain. He's got like wagons, there's a wagon there. He's got a bigger wagon, like so. This one, you can put little chests on that one. Let's find a chest here. So this little chest here, let's see. Oh, there we go. So this is like a little chest, which you can open, and then you can just pop off the top there and just plop that in the back. There's larger chests here. And this one, for example, has kind of a, instead of just popping off, it's got a hinge to it. And see, it's even got like little padding inside, so it'll stay shut. Like so. And then inside here, I think I put some books in there. Yep. So you can put little books in there and stuff like that. That's just ridiculous. What else? Okay, this is neat. So he has here this well, right? And so this is just a little two-piece. You don't have to glue that or anything. You can just kind of set that in there like so. And then on the table, it'll of course sit flat. So you could put that in some water or just off to the side. Like I said, he's got that big sort of pond there. You could set that well in there if you wanted. Little signs and things like that. Like that, you can get little signs. Tons and tons of these fences, which is great. Because it's always cool to kind of break up your battlefield and whatnot with fences and little terrain that people got to hop over. So there's a ton of these. I'm not going to show you all the fences, but there's a literal ton of these fences. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, well, speaking of water, let's show you this one here. This is kind of a cool set here. Let's zoom out a bit. So you have this kind of dockside little house there, right? You can open the top just like before, and these little stilts and everything. And then you've got this extra little dock piece, which you could, have it run this way. You can have it run this way, have it come off this end like so, and build that kind of stuff into it. There are these cool little boats. There's one of them there with oars and stuff in there, like so. Here's another one. I think these oars I did glue down, and then another one I left where they weren't glued. So if you wanted to kind of put them kind of coming off the side like that, you can have little boats and stuff. And this is cool. Like this kind of stuff is really cool for a game like Frostgrave as well, where you want some real kind of specific things, and you can kind of adapt that. Like, you know, I know like the first scenario in Frostgrave I think has a well in it, and so you can do little things. Just giving you these kind of little nooks and crannies and stuff gives you the ability to kind of add some flavor to the game. And then you also get lots and lots of this kind of stuff, which is cool. Little scatter bits. I'm not going to show you all of this, but this is just adds flavor to your battlefield there. So this gives you like little sticks and things like that. So you can just kind of throw that around, especially if there's ruined villages and stuff like that. This is probably from the Village Ruin set, so it's like a little broken floorboard. Ladders. There's these pieces here, which you can see you can punch out the holes, or you can kind of leave it in there if you want. There's these I could have punched out. This you can kind of scatter through battlefield. That kind of adds a lot of character and flavor, and really shouldn't be ignored. And he made an efficient use of the space on the punch boards, not just giving you, you know, the basics of what you need, but he gives you all this other stuff that you can really just throw into your game. Oh, I didn't even show you the chairs. There's a bunch of different chairs, right? So there's like a little sort of, I don't know, makeshift throne chair for somebody who thinks they're important. And there's a ton of these little like wooden chairs like this. So you can just scatter those like there's been, you know, the house exploded and there's furniture everywhere, or you can set it up, that kind of thing. Oh, and so there's also like little ruined pieces. I keep these packed in the box. So if you have like little, you know, there's nothing left of these houses, there's these little ruined things. And these are add nice, you know, scatter terrain type of thing. So like this door, I could punch this out if I wanted, just leave it. Some I punched out, some I left. So let's take a look at the Village Ruin stuff, and then I'll show you kind of the piece de resistance of the other village set. So these three pieces I did apply a decent amount of glue to, just because they're a little bit rickety, which, you know, they're ruins. But once you assemble them, they can be just a tad rickety. So I did apply a little bit of glue to these. And then it is cool though, they didn't really show you how, but I think if you wanted to spend the time and kind of learn and watch through all the videos, these ruin components here can all go into the village set if you wanted to kind of, you know, extend that. So there is ways to kind of like mix and match all these things to kind of build whatever sort of environment you really want. But these are really neat here. You know, blown out villages, holes in the roofs and all that kind of stuff. There is one here, let's see. So they do kind of hold together nicely. You can see this kind of thing here. So this has like a little ladder, and this kind of the same thing I showed you with the furniture, with the tongues and things. This hooks into a lot of the different spots. So it does have some structure to it. It's just a little bit rickety. And so I just said, well, I'm not really planning on, you know, taking these apart and mixing and matching them with the village set. So I just figured I'd apply a little bit of glue. So now let's show you the inn. So here you have the inn, and you can really kind of build this a few different ways. There are a couple of sets of these ladders here, which you can put on there, or even on this side. There's an opening over there, like another ladder set here. So we can throw those together there. And these you can put anywhere really, because the terrain is all kind of sized in such a way that stuff is really compatible with each other. They're going to kind of match up. But let's go ahead and take these stairs away. We can pull this sucker off here. This is kind of like a little gazebo on the balcony on that side, so we can pull that out. That doesn't have to be there. You can give yourself another terrain piece if you want, like a little outhouse there. Pull the roof off. Let's pull this a little bit closer. Until here we've got our second story. We've got interior walls, doors that can kind of swing shut or open or closed. And then this here can come off. Well, actually, we're going to take this off here. So our entryway. And then we can have, I should have put that, I should have mentioned that with the ruins, but you can slap in these floors here, and these are just going to fit in nicely, and you can take them out. And if having floors is important to you, because you know your characters are going to be entering that area, there are a bunch of these different floors like so, or you know, floorings that are ruined floors that will slide in, and they just slide in snugly. And they give it a little bit of extra stability as well. So we'll just pop this off here, and then we can see, of course, inside here, a couple of different really cool things here. So there, you can see that little fireplace there. I mean, how awesome is that? you know, a 3-dimensional fireplace inside this, and then also a 3-dimensional little bar here, and I glued that the bell that you could ring the bell on. And again, this slides in here like that. So if you don't want the bar in there, you just take it out, and then if you want it back in, you just slide it under this little lip there, and then it'll sit there snugly. Same with the fireplace. And that's just a really, really cool thing. Very sweet level of detail. Oh, and I should have showed you the blacksmith too while I'm talking about it. So here's this little house here. I forgot this one. So this has quite the furnace inside here. You can see that with the chimney, and all this is just slotted right into there with a little thatch roof like so. Oops, I almost see there's a little hole for the chimney there in the thatch roof, so it can go off and on pretty easy. But anyway, this is an amazing set of terrain. Now you can get the sets like I showed you here, the Fantasy Village or the Ruin set, but you can also buy like individual buildings, and like I said at the beginning, he's got a ton of different setups, like some stuff that's like even more geared towards a fantasy battlefield. This I think is great because it's nice to have a battlefield sometimes with the whole village and that kind of stuff, not just trees and rocks and stuff. But then he's also got sci-fi stuff and post-apocalyptic stuff and all this kind of, it's all the same kind of system with these kind of clips and things. But from what I've seen online and some of the folks I know that also picked this up, this is definitely, seems like it's its best set. So he's really kind of come into his own, so to speak. I keep saying he, it's a company, but it's one person. So it's Battle Systems, but I believe it's one person that designed all this stuff and has come up with the builds and everything. So anyway, that is the Fantasy Battle Systems sets. Definitely take a look at it. Again, I think price is way more than reasonable, especially with the amount of detail and stuff that you get. And it's a simple build. I think it took me probably a weekend day, you know, like a Saturday, to sit down and knock all this stuff out. And I don't have to paint it. I can break it down how I want. And it's just going to plop right on the table, and you got that level of modularity that's really excellent. So anyway, that is Battle Systems. Take a look. Thanks.